We're on the record. Good morning, everybody. I'd like to go ahead and just before we get into everything, the sign-in sheets are going around, but we're waiting for one more person on our team to sign them, so we're waiting for her, and then we'll give them across the table. Also on the dates, the next negotiating dates we have are tomorrow. Then we have April 15th, 16th, and 17th of next week, which
right.
I believe is a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday from 9:30 a.m. And then also April 23rd, the following week at 9:30 a.m. here all at the same place. And those 4 dates have not been publicly posted yet, but they will be, I believe, tomorrow, which is ample with enough time to do such posting. What I have sent to you are counter proposals and tentative agreements for today, April 8th, 2015. I also received from you several possible tentative agreements and a couple of proposals. It took a little bit longer because once I received those, I kind of went through what we had to see what we could make sure that what we could TA and we couldn't, and we were actually even able to TA some of the counter proposals that you had submitted this morning. So
why don't we go? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, and what I was going to do is I was kind of going to go through my document and I'll reference what TA or what counter proposal you sent to me this morning as I go through my document. The only thing, before we TA, I know that you have sent me over a couple of proposed TAs in the format. One thing that I'm concerned about is because once we put this thing together, I mean, obviously we kind of have to organize it in a way that it falls together, because the last contract was, there was an overtime issue in one place and another place, and we kind of had to piece it all together. So one of the things we want to do is simplify the contract and make it logically organized, and that way it's easy to follow, and we know if we have an issue, we know where to go to, and we don't have to think that there's some other hidden provision somewhere else. So when we're doing the TAs, I just want to make sure that even though it says Article 25 or whatever it is, that we're not going to be bound to that, because I would like to sit down with you and organize it in the end.
Yeah, no, that's my understanding.
Okay.
I mean, I think when I made proposals to you, I tried to collect everything that pertained to a topic and put it in one article. I may or may not have succeeded in that totally, but certainly we can reorder the numbering of the articles.
Okay.
No problem, and we just have to be careful when we do that. To the extent that in one article we refer to another article, we got to make sure to make that change.
Absolutely.
Too.
And
but yeah, they're not in an order that we desire, and we're not wedded to that order.
What we're really focused on right now is the substantive part, the actual substance of the provisions and the terms that we're we're slowly agreeing to through this contract. So I'll go ahead and walk you through what ours is termed the 4/8/15 9 a.m. counter proposals and tentative agreements. I'm going to try and organize. I know I didn't have time to do it this time around, but I'm going to try and organize it in such a way that, as we discuss, it would be easier for us to follow.
That'd be great. And the only other thing I'd ask is that as we do tentatively agree on things and we get the TAs signed, we can just drop those from our proposals entirely, understanding that it'll make your documents less long, and it will help me find the stuff, because right now what I'm having to do is scroll through maybe 30 pages to find the page that talks about, for example, grievance procedure.
What I think, what I might do, what I was thinking is, the reason I'm leaving it in is so that we can kind of see how the contract is forming and seeing what the context of it is starting to how it's starting to take shape. Yeah. One of the easiest things I just didn't, it's tedious and it will take a little bit of time, especially when I change things, is provide to you a table of contents that would show that, and that would be easy for you to follow. That way, that would be an easier way. So I'm trying to figure out a way to make it a little bit easier on that.
Let me show you what I'm doing, just so, which I think accomplishes the same thing, and I don't mind sharing it with you whenever you want to see it, or you can create your own. But what I've done is created a status sheet. And so the different colors have meaning probably only to me, but yellow is things that we sign TAs on, blue is things that I've sent to you today, and green is things that I'm getting ready to work on, and gray. In other words, but I've got the dates that I've made proposals on each of these topics, So, and as I TA on the goal is that everything will be yellow at the end of the day, but,
Okay.
anyway.
Well,
But you do it however you want.
I'll come up with some way, that way it's easier for you to follow.
Okay.
And so I can provide you what it is that we're dealing with today. I've tried to do that with what we have, and I've included the tentative agreements, as I said. But the first one, if you go through, the first page, of course, is the title. The preamble and intent is on the second page. We tentatively agreed to that on 3/11/15. I believe we have signed that one. Or no, actually, we need to sign that one.
The preamble?
Right. You sent over to me the form of the tentative agreement, and we agreed to the substance part, and so it just needs to be printed and signed, basically.
Okay, let's do, if you don't have the form I sent you, oh, you do?
Good, here it is.
Let's sign 2 copies of each. You'll keep one, I'll keep one.
You only have one?
copy,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm sure we can get an extra copy.
We'll get an extra copy from, see if we can get one from the front, and we'll sign that.
Okay. And it looks like we've agreed on recognition.
Yes, on recognition, we, that is a TA, well, I put possible tentative agreement because I hadn't sat at the table and talked to you, but we've adopted what, your proposal of the latest UA3, which I think was
Okay.
actually the only one, it was an initial proposal. But we have, accepted that.
Okay.
And as we go on, I just want to preface this with, I know, like, went through everything that we could at this far. We're still working on a couple more that we believe that we can TA or very close to. So at this session, even though I may not have presented it right now, we will present it sometime today. So just
Okay.
wanted it to at
Okay.
least start doing something and get done with what
No,
we've accomplished.
I agree.
Let's see, on
The next.
page 4 is non-discrimination, and we've tentatively agreed to that on January 22nd,
Did we actually
2015.
sign that one?
Yes.
I think we
Okay.
actually signed that one.
We signed
Okay.
that
Yeah.
one.
Okay.
Yeah, we actually signed that one. That's the one that I do have. Let's see, the next page on 5 is management rights. We'll leave, right now we're just focusing on what we can TA at this point.
So, I'm sorry, which one did you pass by?
That was on management rights on page 5.
Oh, yeah.
And that's page 5 and 6. On page 7, under working conditions, we have adopted almost all of the hiring procedures. On your proposal, it was UA 22 from April 2nd of 2015 at 1 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that you sent something to me this morning, but what we had done was
We sent you a new proposal on Article 22.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we did. We sent you proposals on, maybe,
Oh, here it is, yeah.
yeah, we sent,
Oh, it
maybe.
was mostly the same. The difference was on the probationary period, so, and the reimbursements. Okay.
Hang on a second, let me get that up.
I did go through that. On your Article 22, which you did send this morning, and so this
Yeah.
would be, if you want to correct the top, this would be in reference to what we're talking about, what you sent this morning, because I did review it, I just didn't change
Oh,
the
yeah,
the
I'll
top.
change that date on mine if you'll change it on
Yes,
yours.
and that's for 8:15 at 9 a.m. We did, focusing on the hiring procedures,
Mm-hmm.
we go through section 1A, we accepted that. With section 2B, as you see in the
1B.
middle,
1B.
excuse me, 1B. In the middle, I just cleaned that up to say, instead of just chief, fire chief. But
Mhm.
as I was reading it, I became confused, just as a lay person reading this and not a firefighter. I have 2 sentences, highlighted at the end. I'll read the first sentence. Selections from an eligibility list for cadet positions will be in rank order as specified in the Civil Service Act. Now, when I read rank order, I got confused because I thought, is that mean classification? And then when I went back, I said, oh, it's the number rank based on the composite score.
Right.
So that's just why I included the word number.
Okay.
So I said that I added that the fire, all
Okay.
and all the examinations as deemed necessary and as the ones deemed necessary by the fire chief will be number ranked upon the entry level eligibility, etc.
Mhm.
And then selections from an eligibility list for cadet positions will be in a number rank order specified in the Civil Service Act. And that was just kind of a clarification. If you have a better suggestion, I'd more than willing to consider it.
I don't add the word fire in front of chief because, and we forget this from time to time, but in the definitions, it defines the word
okay.
chief.
Okay.
So, it doesn't hurt to.
Yeah, and I had seen some proposals that say fire chief, some that didn't, so I was just trying to somehow remain consistent in some way, and I'm sure that we'll go through and try to clean up some of that stuff at the very end. But the second question I had was that in the old contract, under the hiring procedures and processes, which this does mirror, there was a sentence in there that said applicants who fail would be required to wait 1 year before taking the test again. So I put it back in there because I don't
think we're gonna have a problem with that.
Okay, that was just, I didn't see it anywhere else in any of the other proposals, I think we just needed to have a little bit of discussion with that because if somebody doesn't pass for some reason, say the psychological examination after an academy, and then for some circumstance happen that allows alternative hiring to open up within the year, and then that person
You wouldn't want them to be an alternate hire candidate?
Well, I don't know. That's what I was going to ask, what your understanding of that, waiting for 1 year to test again, because I don't know.
As a practical matter, I don't think it matters much simply because I don't think y'all do more than one class a year.
Right.
One entry-level hiring class. So as a practical matter, it's probably going to be that sentence would only catch somebody that maybe you did it in 11 months instead of a year. They wouldn't be eligible, so they'd be out for almost 2 years. But we didn't put really any constrictions, as I recall, on alternative hiring. As I read this sentence,
right.
It just refers to a standard hiring class, and it's kind of our hope that you're going to do a lot of alternative hiring.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and I just wanted to clarify that because it could have, without clarifying that, there could have been a question as to whether that applied to alternative hiring.
Okay. Yeah. No, I don't think.
So this is just under the standard hiring process.
Right.
Okay.
And if you want that sentence in there, I'm fine with it. But I say I am. I've got to talk to my team.
Yeah, talk to your team because. I had to talk to my team to figure out what that really, what implication did that one sentence have, and I didn't know if maybe there was a practical reason it was left out, or.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. No. To me, if you want it in there, it can go in. It doesn't. I don't think you're not going to probably be doing a lot of standard hiring.
Okay.
But if you do, I don't mind them having to wait 1 year. I mean, if they, it really depends. It's case by case why they fail. I mean, if they fail a psychological exam, that's different from if they fail the entrance test by, say, a point.
That's right.
If they study harder or to the extent there are study materials, do a little bit better the next time. Maybe, but psych exam, something's wrong and maybe they need treatment. They're going to fail the psych exam again if they don't get some or something. So.
Okay. So that was the only thing on that part, but everything else is the same.
And by number ranked, you simply mean that their number rank in terms of
based on their composite scores,
test
first
score,
on the list,
seniority. Not seniority points, military points, whatever the civil service sets out.
Whatever is the composite score is.
Right.
So and that, just because when I read that I got confused. I said, okay, what does the Civil Service Act say with regard to putting them in a certain classification or rank? And then I realized it was number, so the number rank. So just trying to clear up any kind of ambiguity that could happen there.
Okay.
Section 2, other than what we talked about on the chief, we can take care of that in definitions if you want. I'm fine with that. I just was trying to remain consistent. I just added fire, but everything else we have agreed to.
Okay, let me just say one thing quickly. Is the hiring process you're doing right now, is it an alternative hiring process?
No, this is a standard.
It's a standard.
Standard.
Okay. The only thing
Hiring process.
that concerns me, and I know you did it because that's the current contract requirement, but the only thing that I'm concerned about is that your posting for the job apparently says that candidates will only be required to maintain paramedic certification for 8 years.
The posting says that?
The posting says that, and if they're, and then at the same time, you made a proposal about certification that, you know, they're gonna have to be certified for life. And, you know, we're open to the, you know, to the possibility of considering that for people that are coming in this class, but I think as a practical matter, it would do a disservice to them and to the fire department if they're told one thing, then enter and are told a different thing. So what I would ask you to do, because my understanding is that, you know, we don't know exactly where you're on the process, but we know that offer letters may be going out soon. If you accept people and give them the understanding they'll only be required to do 8 years, I think you've got an obligation to honor that. So I would ask you to look at that.
Okay.
I think the current contract says people get to give it up after 8 years, but we're trying to negotiate a new contract, and I think you ought to, you know, at least identify for these people that it's possible that that could change so that they know before they accept a job and give up another job what the requirements might be.
Okay. We already went through the alternative hiring. That
that
looks
takes
like
you down to
that's-
probationary period.
totally. And I just separated it just because I didn't. I think with the hiring procedure and probationary period are two separate. There are two separate issues, but
Are you saying like you'd like to make them two separate articles?
Yeah, two separate
Okay.
articles, or somehow even, you know, under, separate them into different sections under, you know, when we try to figure out how to put this thing together.
Okay.
But I had come up with a counter proposal before I had received your counter proposal this morning.
Mhm.
Your counter proposal that I received this morning actually mirrors where I was trying to go with this. And basically what I was trying to do is make sure that everybody had the same amount of probationary period once they became full duty. So my proposal was to have the probationary period begin on the first date of employment as a cadet, of course, while you're doing your your certification and training, but it would end, the limitation would end 6 months from the day that you be released to full duty as a firefighter.
I think the only difference between that and what we propose is that we put an absolute outside limit of 22
Right, and
months.
I was gonna go there, you know, in addition to that, we had thought that the limit of once you became a full duty firefighter, limiting the probationary period to 6 months would be a good limitation. I did see the absolute limitation. If somebody doesn't get certified or graduate from the academy as a cadet, we don't have, you know, they don't fall into that anyway. The limitation, it becomes, you know, and we want to make sure that they have the full time afforded, whether it changes or not. You know, I think it has recently changed to where it's a little bit longer. We want to make sure that they're afforded that opportunity. We don't want to take anything away by limiting it to 22 months. But I think that the limitation that we wanted to ensure so that firefighters, once they're on full duty, they know what they're having to deal with, is that it would be limited to 6 months.
Okay.
So it kind of creates that limitation in of itself.
And let me ask, this is asking for information, but I mean, I think the longest that anybody takes to get, even if they come in without paramedic, without EMT, without fire, is like 17 months, right?
More or less.
Okay. So an outside limitation of, say, 22 months, which I think is what we did, would give them 5 months. So maybe we went to 23 months. That would give them the full 6 months no matter what.
Yeah, and a part, the part that concerns me about that, that 17-month period, don't they have to do some sort of rotations or something that?
That's part of the actual acquiring of the certification.
Of the certification that we don't have control over, and as I understand that we kind of compete with other communities here at these hospitals to try and get these rotations or whatever it is that they need to do to get the certification. So if there's a snag there and we have to wait a longer time, we don't want to punish somebody by limiting it. That's why I'm saying we want to give them their full ability to fulfill their academy within a reasonable time, etc. So that's why we kind of thought that the limitation of the 6 months once you become full duty would kind of set that.
And you realize that for some people it'll mean a much shorter.
Absolutely.
You do an alternate hire and a person comes in with paramedic and all they need is firefighter training, they could be turned out after 6 months, and then you'd have like a 12-month probationary period.
Right. Or they could come in and be trained in 2 months, depending on, I don't know if that's possible, and with their 6 month, it'd be an 8-month probationary period.
Okay.
Or, if they can get through their training in a month, the probationary period would be 7 months. So we want to ensure that there's at least 6 months of observation, evaluation, once the person, the firefighter has graduated from the academy and has out in the field.
Okay. So
and we don't want to provide any limitations saying that you only have so much time because of the probationary period to achieve this, say limiting to 16, 17 months, because that could change. I don't know if that changes with regard to when the classes or the rotations are available, etc. And so that we were trying to just give everybody kind of the benefit of that time.
Okay.
The other part on the probationary period for new employees, I crossed out, and it's not really, I crossed this out. All cadets shall become immediately eligible for participation in the Corpus Christi local firefighters pension system as of the original date of employment. And I crossed it out because I don't want it to do anything substantively, but this document doesn't govern that pension system. It doesn't have anything to do with that pension system. That pension system is governed by its own plan document. And furthermore, a cadet is not part of the actual bargaining unit, subject to this agreements. And since we don't control it, if the pension system for some reason changes their plan document, says, hey, cadets can only become eligible to receive pension after 6 months, then we would it's kind of locked in our contract, even though we don't have control over it. That's just my concern. I don't think that this is the place for it.
Okay, so how does it change the current practice exactly? I mean,
it shouldn't.
Okay.
It shouldn't.
Okay. Well, let us look at it. It seems like we're close here.
And do you understand what I'm saying? I just don't think that this particular sentence belongs in this collective bargaining agreement. We don't have control over the actual pension system.
The city doesn't control the pension system or what their rules are. That's up to you guys. I mean, you have
The city does have board members on our pension board, you know that, right?
But it's not a contractual arrangement.
No, I'm just saying, you say you have no control, they do have board members that sit on the
But the board is the
pension
one that
board
has control.
that they're assigned
And I'm
to the
sorry,
city.
Roxy, where are you saying the pension is mentioned here? In the current contract?
What page are y'all on?
We're on page 9 of the proposed.
The very top,
Yeah.
first paragraph,
The very first?
the very first on page 9. It's the second.
The one that says in addition to insurance?
Let me see.
No, up
No,
above.
the paragraph above that. It's right, it talks about it during the probationary period. I don't know why.
Oh, you're eliminating that because you're saying that's controlled by the pensions plan document.
It's
And
in
you're not
regard to-
saying, and you're not suggesting that by eliminating that sentence, we're changing the status
Right,
quo.
it doesn't, we can't change that status quo, that we don't have, that's governed by that pension plan document itself.
Okay.
And that's the only I just don't think that this is the proper place, and we we can't control it through this collective bargaining agreement.
Okay.
So there's no substantive change, it's just kind of a cleanup. I don't think it belongs there, it belongs in another document.
Okay. And then the next paragraph, how is that changed? Does that change the status quo, or?
No, it shouldn't. It was just kind of mirroring, how we determine the probationary period, which is firefighter 1 anyway.
So the
but
first entry-level rank as a full-duty firefighter,
would be
that
firefighter
happens
1.
when they go off of probation? Or does that happen before they go off of probation?
No, this is telling them what they will get before they go on probation. Just as long as they achieve that rank, the first entry-level rank, this is what they'll get. Then the second sentence says, after completion of the probationary period, then they'll receive 100% of all the benefits.
Okay.
And it really doesn't substantively change. My intention is not to substantively change anything. It was just to mirror the way the probationary language was set,
Okay.
and that was all.
Okay.
But other than that, those are the only. Basically, the only big thing on probationary period is we eliminated that 22-month limitation,
Mm-hmm.
and then that sentence that we don't believe does anything substantively on the cadets being eligible for the pension system.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. Then on
Working hour?
middle of page 9, we're talking about working hours, and I think that
Is the blue where we're in agreement?
yes,
'Cause it
I meant
looks
to do all that in green, but
It's okay.
all the blue is where we're in agreement. The only thing that I added was a section F, Kelly days, and that's on 10. That was included in the old contracts. And I don't know if this is the proper place for it, but I didn't want to lose that from, I didn't want anything to change. And I didn't find it anywhere else in any of your other proposals. But this was included during those, under working hours and the work shifts. And it basically says if an operational firefighter is absent from work for a full calendar quarter as a result of an on-duty injury, the employee will accrue no Kelly days attributable to that calendar quarter.
Well, I mean, the way Kelly days are used in the fire department right now is it's a shift day that you're given off without pay to get your hours down, right?
Right.
And so if you're off duty as a result of an on-duty injury, you're on line of duty injury leave under the Civil Service Act.
Right, and you don't
So-
qualify for Kelly days anyway. So
Yeah. What I'm just suggesting, I mean, it doesn't give me heartburn, and I'm just giving my initial reaction.
Sure,
It
sure.
doesn't give me heartburn, but it really doesn't accomplish anything because
Right.
whether you count that leave day as a leave day or a Kelly day, they're still entitled to 1 year of leave for the injury
right.
when it's an on-duty injury.
And it's basically calculated a 40-hour week once you're on day, right?
Well, I don't know how they do it here, but I mean, in most places, the wage is expressed either in a monthly or a yearly amount, and then so the hourly amount for 40-hour firefighters is different from the hourly amount for shift firefighters, but they add up to the same annual compensation.
That's right.
So it really doesn't matter whether you count them as 40 hours or not, as long as
The
you're getting the same
compensation
annual
stays the same,
compensation.
right.
Yeah.
But for terms of, when they're accruing, overtime and Kelly days, et cetera, I need to look further into it. And I didn't know if you let that out as a practical matter as we're speaking about right now, or if it's just, if something that's really needed. So I just wanted to put
Yeah.
that in there and discuss it.
Yeah, let me talk to my
Okay.
guys about it, but that's the only difference there.
Mhm.
Okay. For
I
the
highlighted,
non-operations?
yeah, on section 2A is the same. 2B substantively is the same. Our wording's just a little bit different. But it
Okay.
says the same, it's almost says the same thing. So if you just look at that.
Is there a substantive difference in
No,
them?
no, there's not.
Okay, I'll look at it.
And then the election alternate work week is the same.
Okay.
So the only real thing on working hours is that, that Kelly Day, just discuss it, see what your side says, and then just look at the language on, section 2B under captains and below. It's substantively the same, the language is,
Okay. It looks like we're in accord on reimbursement of training and certification expenses.
yes, that's
Okay.
the next one. We accepted your, counter proposal this morning.
Okay.
On UA 22. I know there was a lot of, let's see. On UA 22, there was different issues. Right, and that covered that. The standard hiring process, alternative hiring procedure, probationary period for new employees, and the reimbursement. And we've
Assuming we can
accepted
get agreement on these changes that you've made, you would like to separate this into two separate articles, one for hiring and one for probation.
Why don't you prepare it, the way that you have it there, and then I'll kind of just tweak it
Okay.
and see if you agree with it.
Okay.
Cause I have to see it to, I don't know if it makes sense to do two completely separate articles or create an article and.
To me, they seem to
subsections.
kind of flow in. You get hired and then you go
And then
into a
the
probationary
probationary.
period.
Okay.
It's all dealing with the people before they're certified full-fledged civil service.
Send me the TAs the way the UA 22 is drafted,
Okay.
with the acceptance, there's a couple of changes that we
Yeah,
made,
well-
but and then I'll tweak it and see if it's okay.
Okay.
with you on just the organization. I'm not really concerned about organization right now. What I'm really concerned about is the, focusing on is the substantive parts.
Okay.
So then, let me move on. So we have a TA on the, reimbursement of training certification expenses.
Mm-hmm.
Then we go into parts of your, let's see, I think I may have addressed, we go into your, Article 7, employee rights.
Yeah, it looks like we've got agreement on those three.
Yeah, and I think we covered all three of them,
Yeah.
and.
The guys were, okay, no, not here.
And we accepted all your proposals on that.
Okay. Okay.
No changes. On the top of page 13, we have relief.
Looks like we've got agreement
We have a
there.
tentative agreement to that, and we also have a tentative agreement on reassignment for fire prevention. Like you said, we didn't have, that in writing because I believe there were other parts of your proposal that we were still looking at. Okay.
Okay.
If we move on to page 13.
Promotional bypass.
Promotional bypass. Let me look through. We've accepted everything.
Okay.
Pursuant to your last proposal, which was April 2nd, 2015 at 1 p.m.
Okay.
We accepted that on section 1A valid reason.
Yeah.
And I think that was the only thing.
Okay.
Oh, and we added on section 2 with regard to voluntary promotional bypass at the discretion of the chief, and we added reasonably exercised.
Okay.
Okay.
That takes us to action outside of city limits.
Right, let me pull.
And we agreed to your language, and but a question came up in our group, and I just wanted to clarify the word ordered. What happens a lot of times is they may be driving and actually see something, and they call into the bat chief and say, "Chief, we're seeing this. Do you want us to respond?" Chief says yes. That's as long as they're following
As long as they're
SOPs,
following-
standard operating procedures. You consider them to be ordered.
Yeah, that's my understanding.
Okay.
Yes.
I think the word was required previously, wasn't it?
Yeah, we had put required and y'all changed to ordered, and I looked and that was in the current contract, the word
Correct,
ordered.
yeah.
And to me, they're synonymous, but I don't mind using the word ordered as long as as long as they're responding pursuant to protocols, that's the same as being ordered.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's my understanding.
And that's what I want to, yeah, I just wanted to clarify that. I mean, yeah, okay.
Yeah, because they still have to seek permission from their supervisor in order to, and if they tell them yes, then that's considered ordered under
Right.
my understanding,
Right.
so, okay.
I mean, a lot of things they respond to just because, you know, their SOPs kind of dictate a certain kind of action. But an
Mhm.
SOP is essentially an order from
Yes.
the.
Mhm. Okay, and that brings us to the next to the no strike, no lockout. And on your article is no furlough. It looks like you accepted.
The city's
Yeah,
proposal.
I had done this beforehand, and then I got your counter proposal this morning, and it looked like you all had accepted just our deletion of that second paragraph.
Mm-hmm. We did.
So we can tentatively agree to that.
Okay.
Let's see, the next one, identification cards. Oh, I was gonna pull up your 30. Let's see which one, so I can tell you where we.
Let me get.
It's actually
Our article-
220, right, Article 30, that was given to us on 220 at 9 AM. Is that what you have?
Yeah, hang on a second. Yeah, that's the last one, and that is the miscellaneous article,
Okay.
according to mine.
I mislabeled that. I put that it was on, that you gave it to us on 205, but it was 220.
Yeah, it is 220, and,
Okay. Let me look through that. Okay, action outside of the city limits was the first thing on your miscellaneous. We do cover that above, which we've already talked about. We
Mhm.
accepted your proposal. The next one on your 30 was amendments to this agreement.
Mhm.
We accepted that one as well, and that one
is that somewhere down further
yeah.
in your?
I did that separately at the end, on page 55.
Okay.
The only thing I added was, it says the association city may by agreement negotiate. I just added by mutual agreement.
Okay.
I thought that was pretty non-controversial, and that we would agree that it had to be mutual.
Yeah.
On rulings and records of the Civil Service Commission, I'm not quite sure where to put that. We agreed to that. I'm not quite sure where to put that, so I just kind of included it under the working conditions part that we have right now, and I'll.
But it looks like we got agreement on that, and I know we've agreed on the Labor
Okay.
Management Relations Committee.
Yes, and then we've accepted, we both have come to terms on the Labor Management, Committee language as well.
Okay. So it looks like.
we're TAing on UA 30.
Well, there's a section 6
Oh,
on UA 30
except-
association.
Right. We have not, let's see.
If you want it out, I mean, it seems to me like it
It
inures
protects
to your benefit.
Yeah.
We're indemnifying you.
Let me look at that. We can probably, let's see, section 6.
You know, we've got a provision in our health insurance proposal that I think is not in yours, that you annually contribute $150,000 to that. And I don't know if that's a substantive disagreement, but it makes sense that if we put that this would be a place to put that as like a paragraph C, if you're willing to do that. If you haven't decided whether you're willing to do that, of course, then we need to
Okay.
talk about it some more. But that might make more sense to put it there.
Okay, let's see.
And then
Yeah, I don't see any reason why we wouldn't be able to tentatively agree to section 6. I just hadn't
Okay.
included it in there.
Okay, let me make a note then. I'll prepare a TA on Article 30.
Yeah. Now, let me just say something on the reopener provision. I see the way the reopener provision is right now in the old contract, it is obsolete. It was meant to address issues that had come up a couple of contracts ago, I think, pursuant to
Yeah, it was a
some
one-time
audit or some-
thing, and
yeah.
it had a date in it that was like 2003 or something, as I recall.
But-
So I put it in there so you would not think I'd forgotten about it.
Right, but if there's any issues that come up that may require, if there's, you know, some issue that we talk about here at the table, and I don't know which one would come to mind, but I'm just saying, if there was if a reopener provision would be beneficial to another proposal, that wouldn't prevent us from talking about it and doing that in a counter proposal by just agreeing to take away this particular reopener provision.
Yeah, no.
Okay, I just wanna make sure
I
about
mean,
that.
I'm looking at the. Where did I say that was?
Which one?
CBA A15.
Article 15.
Yeah, it's at the very end of the contract, the old contract,
What page?
47.
Yeah, I mean, that was a tri-data study done back in 2007, some 8 years ago. And so yeah, but the answer to your question is no, eliminating that provision wouldn't prevent the parties from reopening the contract by mutual agreement.
Okay.
Okay? Just that
literally
literally
particular.
doesn't, yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
have any utility. We're not trying to take away anything there.
Okay, then we can tentatively agree on 30.
You said, tell me again real quickly, you said that you modified something slightly. I think it's section 2, amendments to the agreement, you said by mutual.
Yeah, I just added, instead of the association city may be by agreement, I added by mutual
I'm
agreement.
gonna add that to our,
Okay. And I think
Yeah.
that was the only thing.
okay, then I will prepare a TA on that. Okay.
Okay.
That takes us to drug and alcohol testing.
Yeah, we can TA that as well.
Okay.
I think everything stayed the same. We accepted your the UA 31. And when I read through it, it doesn't substantively change anything. Is that correct?
Yeah, does not make any substantive changes to the current contract or procedures.
Oh, the only thing I did do was, you know, where you have the fire department's alcohol and drug policy appended to this agreement as Appendix C, I just crossed that out and kind of put a blank. That's all I did.
Okay, yeah, we'll put that in at the end. Okay.
Then we come to mileage reimbursement on the top of page 17.
Okay.
I think you have accepted our proposal.
I have. I wanted to clarify, if there were a budget shortfall or special circumstances, it's not something that would be applied to fire department personnel only, it would be a citywide policy.
Right, no, this would be a citywide deal.
Okay. So we'll only go below the IRS rate if the whole city does.
That's right.
Okay. Okay.
We've already come to a meal reimbursement agreement. I've received your counter proposal on uniforms. We haven't reviewed that, so we need to.
Yeah, the dollar amount's still different.
Right, I think y'all are at $90.
Yeah. And explain this to me, and I may need my own team members to pipe up on this. I'm looking at the top of page 18. It's my understanding that on the shirts and the t-shirts, that currently all they show is their current EMS certification, and you cross out EMS certification and replace that with certification. What do you understand is on the shirts and t-shirts right now, and is this a change to that?
No,
or-
it shouldn't be a change.
Guys, I mean, what are y'all showing
It
your
is a
shirts?
change,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah,
well,
I think
didn't
TDH
mean-
requires your highest EMS certification. And changing it to certification, I'll just use John as an example. If he didn't have an EMT, but he was T-close, you would almost expect him to put T-close on there.
Oh, I didn't realize that, okay, no, that wasn't, we'll
Yeah,
leave it EMS.
the way it
that's
is
no
now,
problem.
it's just our highest EMS certification.
Okay.
You don't want-
Otherwise, you'd be
Primates,
requiring them to buy new
hazmat,
shirts,
rescue,
and-
you don't want all
Then
that
you'd
stuff.
have all sorts of
Yeah, it'd be like-
ribbons and stuff all over.
Yeah, we'd have to be writing on the back and stuff.
No, that's fine. I was just trying to, in simplifying something, I didn't realize I was causing such a, and that's why we need to have these discussions.
Yeah.
So that's,
Okay.
okay.
Well,
We'll go back to EMS certification, that's no problem.
Okay.
The intention was not to change anything.
Okay, legal defense is a go.
Legal defense is a TA, I think you sent us one this morning. Was there any change on that one?
No.
No, okay, that's what I thought.
But, and I also indicated to you that I wasn't trying to change the status quo, I just tried
Right.
I tried to clarify it. I'm noticing that on the top of page 19, you eliminated the word prosecuting.
Oh, we
But
didn't.
you haven't replaced that with another word.
We just thought that it would be easier just to say to cooperate with the city in the firefighters' defense in general.
Okay, I don't think we have trouble with that,
Yeah.
it doesn't change it substantively.
And that would mean, help, cooperating with whatever attorneys defending them, providing them with witness statements or any documents they may have to serve in their defense, to attend any hearings or
Yeah.
whatever they have to do.
Do you want to change prosecuting to presenting, or just eliminate it?
I think if you just say to cooperate with the city in the firefighters' defense, I think that's enough to say that it includes from the beginning, the middle, and the end of whatever,
Okay.
the litigation entails.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
let's see, then the next,
Is wages and supplemental pay, but you haven't made any changes to
Right.
that yet,
and
so.
then his healthcare goes into that, and we're still looking at that.
Okay,
Impasse, I'm working on that, the collective bargaining negotiations and impasse procedure on page 37, working on that.
can we go back to page 24 of your proposal for a minute?
Sure.
I realize we're not dealing with this topic right now, but, I'm looking at drag-up pay for unused vacation leave. At the bottom of page 24.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got upon separation by either retirement or resignation.
Let me see.
We occasionally have firefighters that, for example, die. Are you meaning to limit the types of separation that qualify for drag-up pay?
I need to go look that back up. I need to, cause I thought that we had kind of followed, I can't recall on that particular one. So what's the question, so I can get that answered?
Well, we just propose, I think, separation for any reason.
Oh,
It could even
okay.
be discharge, death, retirement, or resignation, just separation. But you have limited it to 2 of those categories.
Oh, to retirement resignation. What was it in the old contract, do you recall? It's
Right now, it just refers to separation, I believe.
separation, okay.
Mhm.
Now,
The way
Are they
the civil,
eligible to get fired too, or no?
that's what he.
yeah,
Right,
the way the
apparently-
Civil Service Act works right now,
Mhm.
you have to use your vacation in the year it's earned, unless the council passes an ordinance or a resolution that says you can carry it forward. And the idea is that firefighters never really lose credit for vacation. So we're not at all opposed to letting people carry it forward, but we don't want them to lose the benefit of the statutory protection of getting to, have that. We agreed that there's a limitation on how much leave they can get, and we're certainly willing to live with that. But just think about that.
Okay, so
I'll
the
make a
difference
proposal.
between that part And ours is that,
Ours just says separation, and yours limits it to resignation
and retirement.
And retirement, and, you know, it's,
And
So-
so, and currently, it's any separation, even people who are terminated or discharged for cause are still able to get paid for unused vacation.
yeah, it's like.
Limited to these hours, the number of hours in this chart.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, now that takes us down back where we were to, an impasse, you're working on that.
Yeah.
I think we're very close there.
I
I
think
think
so,
the
too.
major difference is that I think the fact finders ought to be able to give you a little more feedback about. Um, Labor Relations Committee, we already talked about.
We've already agreed to that. That's your UA 30.
Mhm.
We still need to do, I need to figure out where we're at on the grievance and the disciplinary fee.
I owe you, and I'm working on counters on both the grievance procedure and the disciplinary.
Okay, but we're
And
really
we've made a lot of
close.
progress.
Okay, we're really close on those as well.
Yeah,
Maybe we can get them done today.
possibly. I'm gonna work during the lunch break on those.
Okay. Oh, we have a session tomorrow also. So.
We do, and we can go a little bit later in that session than as I mentioned last
Right.
week, my Lubbock hearing got canceled.
Okay. Let's see, on page 54, conflict with civil service statute, I believe that's something that we put on the table, and y'all didn't have any heartburn with that, and you tentatively agreed to that on.
You know, we didn't. In a couple of articles that we've already agreed to, we
Mhm.
mentioned, but I'll probably suggest, I'll probably clean this up a little bit. There are two kinds of preemption.
Okay.
There's, total preemption, which is the contract actually replaces a civil
Right.
service statute. And then there is partial preemption. That's not the word we use usually, but I can't think of what the word is right now. Which is it
It only modifies certain aspects of it, and the rest stays in place.
and the rest stays in place. And so unless unless this contract states otherwise, use preemption. That's the word we use. Use preemption is what it is, and I want to make that clear here.
Okay.
I haven't seen any proposal that either side has made where we totally preempt civil service yet.
I haven't either. And
I
I
mean,
think that's why.
alternate hiring is as close as.
Yeah.
But even there, alternate hiring, you still have to be like 18 to 35.
And we still have to follow the civil service.
And do a
Right.
psychological exam. So,
Right.
it's really, and so I'll probably change this language a little bit, but I'll.
Okay, but that's why I think it is important, because when we're going through some of these, I do get questions, well, we don't have to follow that. I said, yes, you do. It modifies only this certain aspect of the civil service requirements or the law, but the rest of them, we have to, adhere to. So
Right,
that's why I
right.
think this is important, so that it's clear for
Yeah,
both parties.
I'll get you a counter on that
Okay.
today. That's not a problem. And there's the mutual, and I added that to the
Yeah, and that's it.
severability. We've got a TA on.
Yes.
Okay. We've got your zipper and duration. What about?
We haven't, I'm gonna try and, I wanted to work out the impasse before we deal with, because your duration proposal has that we would rely on the impasse procedure. So I think, I would like to work that out first and then deal with the duration part, especially because it kind of hinges on that.
Okay, well,
But
I'm
looking
gonna
at it, so-
I'm gonna prepare the TAs on the stuff that we can TA on, work on discipline and grievance procedure. If you want to work on the impasse,
Work
and I
on
think
the
your
impasse,
health
there-
insurance
Yeah,
and some of these others.
There may be a couple of, I need to look, but I thought there may be a couple little TAs or, here and there that we could possibly also get done, so I was gonna look at that.
Yeah, just point it out to me.
Concluding provision.
Yeah, which one?
Concluding.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But we could probably TA the concluding provision. Unless you think we need more blanks. I'm just kidding.
No, yeah, you can TA the concluding provision.
Yeah.
I think I can say, even without talking to the team.
But on the health, you gave us one on the health, so you're looking for us to, you had given us some questions about that the last time,
I
right?
did, and I know that y'all said you took a lot of stuff out just because you didn't think it was necessary, but my understanding from my own team is that this was, you know, like, if not the major issue, a major issue in the last round of negotiations, and all that language was kind of hammered out after a lot of real careful discussion, and it makes them feel uneasy just to suddenly jettison that language. So unless you think, you know, I've asked you a couple of times, are we really changing the status quo? And you said no.
No, yeah.
And so unless you think it really changes the status quo, I'm asking you to leave in the stuff that we're
Okay.
adding back in. Look at it, and if there's something that gives you particular heartburn, let me know. But,
Yeah.
I mean, we're not in disagreement on health insurance that I know of right now.
No, we're not.
and
We're just trying to clean up the contract, and we want to make, and I understand where you feel.
Well, there is one substantive change, and that is you've eliminated the $150,000 to the health and benefit trust. And that is currently language that's in your health insurance article that you're proposing to eliminate. I don't mind eliminating there, but I would want to put it in
Put
this
it
other one that
somewhere
we
else.
talked about.
Yeah, and I don't think, the reason that it was taken out of the it's not the health insurance, it was under health insurance plan, but it's not actually part.
It actually goes to the health and benefit trust.
Okay.
And so what I would do is add a subsection C to that you'll make that annual contribution. We use the money that you give us, we have a dental and a vision plan is primarily the use that's made of the health and benefit trust.
Actually, no, that's a supplemental insurance.
Oh,
The health and
okay.
benefits trust only benefits the retirees to
Right.
help supplement, pay,
Okay.
to help supplement them and pay for their
Okay.
premiums, correct?
Yeah, I
Yes.
misspoke.
Okay.
So, anyway, I could put that as a C in that. And I need to know, though, if y'all are proposing to eliminate making that payment.
I don't recall. I don't think, you know, what I was trying to do at that point was just clean up the healthcare plan. I just didn't think it was part of the healthcare plan.
That's right,
Let me
but-
go back and put that, because it's in your other proposal, you're gonna, in your counter proposal.
We've got a
right?
TA on everything, but I'll add a subsection C to that, show it to you.
Okay.
So, and in the meantime, you let me know if that's an area of substantive disagreement or just
Okay.
an oversight.
I'll let you know. Okay. Okay.
Okey-doke.
I think
So
we've
I'll
covered
go
a
work
lot
on
of
these
ground this
TAs
morning.
and yeah, we did.
So-
So let's keep it going.
Yep. I agree. Okay.
Okey-doke.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we set it to that one?
Okay, are we on? Okay, Craig, I have emailed you a 1 PM counter proposal and tentative agreement, and that includes 2 counter proposals, and I identified a couple of other possible tentative agreements. But before I go through that, I just wanted to let you know that I am working on a lot of other possible tentative agreements that we have not addressed today, and I hope to have first thing in the morning. I'll work on
Okay.
those tonight. Like we were talking about, we're looking at holiday leave and pay, sick leave, personal leave, vacation, those kinds of issues.
Okay.
And if not TA, definitely at least a counter proposal that brings us closer, but a lot of those I think that we can TA.
Okay, good.
I was just wasn't able to finalize them this afternoon. Also, let me see. If we go, I went through the tentative agreements You emailed me 2 sets of tentative agreements. The first email, they all look like they're pretty much done. I just need to print them out and look at them. And
Okay.
that's a TA1 preamble, TA3 recognition, TA7 employee rights, TA22 hiring and probation, TA26 severability, TA29 no strike, no lockout, TA31 drug testing, TA34 promotional bypass, and TA37 concluding provision.
Okay.
On the second set, second email, there's 4 other ones. These TAs, most of them are tentatively agreed to. There was a couple of provisions either we didn't address or I may have included somewhere else, or so I have to look through those.
Okay.
For instance, like on TA30 miscellaneous, I know that you added the because we were talking about the Association Health and Benefit Trust, you added that provision that
That
has
currently
the-
is in the health insurance
right,
article.
that $150,000 contribution deal. So we have to look at that. And what I'll do is I'll look through those tonight, tell you where we're at on those, but we are tentatively agreed on most of the parts. There's only a couple of provisions in there that we need to talk about or look at a little bit further.
Okay.
So I'll print those out tonight.
The Article 14, other supplemental benefits, I'm trying to remember.
That one. Oh, you have the uniforms in there. Uniforms, which we have not.
We haven't agreed on the price.
The price is basically all we done. We agree that uniforms will be, that there will be a uniform allowance. Basically, the only thing is the actual, what the amount of the allowance is. So that's the only issue there.
Right, and then the, if you look at that, section 1F, y'all had put, those standards would be established by the fire chief at his discretion. I changed that to subject to the requirements of this agreement because there are certain requirements in the agreement that limit the chief's discretion, so I thought that was clearer. Would, your language, it seemed to me, would create a kind of an internal inconsistency.
Okay. Do you remember what it says in the old,
I think subject to the requirements of this agreement is in the current contract. Be under uniforms.
Oh, yeah, okay, subject to provisions of this contract.
Yeah, so, and I
Okay.
just changed to agreement because that's the way we do it in the. And then the other things that are in blue, I wanted to point out to you that they're in the current contract, they're not in your proposals, but I've tried to list where I got them.
Okay.
So you can look at it and see if y'all have any heartburn about that. I'm not aware of any of that that's not, working.
Okay, yeah, I'll look at those. I
Okay.
think,
And then the next one was Article 20, injury leave. I know y'all haven't ever given me a response on that, but.
actually, let me see. I have questions on that because we're trying to, let me pull that up. I did look at it, and actually we were trying to figure out a way to TA that, but it seems that the in the old contract it's kind of scattered and not identified, like injury leave, etc. So I was trying to look through it and trying to reconcile that it was all the same.
Hang on a second, let me look at my proposal.
It's Article 20, yeah.
Yeah, but I think in my,
There's a couple of new things I identified so far with the,
everything, according to my proposal, I didn't send you that to you today, I left, it all comes from Article 12, Section 4. Okay, so, you got your contract still, Johnny?
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on pages 43 to 44 of the current contract.
Mhm.
And my intent was not change
It's
the
under-
current, some stuff, and this happened a lot with this contract, I had to kind of guess at what the parties meant from the language
Yeah.
used. If I guessed wrong,
But
my bad.
that's why it's taking me a little bit longer to go through this particular one, because it's hard to kind of gauge what, from the old contract language, exactly what it is, so I just need to look at it a little bit,
Okay.
closer. But, a couple of things that I noticed that I thought they were new, and they may not be, you may have an explanation for why it's in there. For instance, on section 2, non-duty related injuries,
mm-hmm,
I have noted on my, here that first sentence is new language. A firefighter who suffers a non-job related injury that prohibits him or her from performing the duties of his or her position may, if able, work light duty for a period of up to 1 year. And I didn't find it in that section for disability, but I wanted to look through the rest of the contract to make sure I wasn't missing it somewhere else.
is it in there, John?
I'm looking.
Let me see, there's another one for light duty. This was-
I don't see it in there. What's the current practice in the fire department?
On the light duty?
For non-occupational, if they're able to take a light duty position, then we grant them.
Is there a time limitation on that?
I can't imagine, I can't recall anyone having gone close to a year's time,
Okay.
but I'd have to do research to verify that.
And then the other new language I identified, was on section 3, the second sentence. It says, if a doctor appointed by the retirement fund determines a firefighter has recovered from such a disability, the firefighter may be reappointed as authorized by Texas, local government code 143.074. That used to be in the old contract, it was limited to within 2 years. And, let me pull up 143.074. And
if you look at 143.074, I'm talking off the top of my head, but 143.074 allows the Civil Service Commission, allows but does not require the commission to reappoint a firefighter if they've been receiving a monthly disability pension. And so, what the contract currently requires right now is actually a little bit better for the firefighter, because it seems to me to kind of mandate that you've got to reinstate them if they recover within 2 years.
Yeah, it says firefighter, the old contract says a firefighter who has previously been terminated due to disability may, if found to be otherwise qualified within 2 years of the termination date for disability by the chief, be eligible for reappointment at the same rank upon certification by the city's designated physician that he or she has recovered or is physically able to perform duties. So I was just wondering, like, I wanted to know if there was a change intended, and if so.
I can tell you that my primary intent, it has never made sense to me that the statute limits the ability of the commission to doing that when the firefighter has actually received a monthly disability pension, because sometimes they don't apply for the pension, or, you know, so, but what I would say is if you like the current contract language and you want to make a, just
Comment.
please clean up
Okay.
that sentence because it's pretty awful. Who has been terminated due to disability may, by the chief, what does
Yeah.
by the chief refer to?
That sentence is a whole paragraph long.
Yeah.
Okay,
And, you know, I mean, it may be that there are certain aspects that, like, you know, the city's designated position, whereas 074, I think, is a position designated by the Civil Service Commission or something like that.
okay.
But, yeah, I mean, the thing is that, you know, the way they're doing it right now doesn't seem to be broken.
Okay,
So-
and that's basically what I guess I wanted to get down to, is whether if these changes were because of issues that need to be addressed, or that, you know, something that we should know about. But, okay, but I'll look at it. I've been looking
Okay.
at, those were just what I had noted and I had questions on, and we should be able to provide you with something
Okay,
tomorrow.
good.
Okay?
So that's, the next one is, work schedules. And, oh, work schedules, the stuff that I have in blue is just stuff that y'all haven't addressed.
Right. For instance, that,
And that's,
special holiday provision that was in
that's something you're gonna
here.
put in the,
I had taken it out only because I was trying to fit it in on the holiday section, you know, with holiday leave and so, because this is already in the old contract, this is what they're
Mhm.
getting at this time, so I just wanted to put it in that holiday section.
that's fine, I just don't wanna lose it. And then the callback procedure.
Callbacks, it seems, and that's done by committee, my understanding is they've just done a revision to the policy through committee and it went pretty well and there really has been no issue. So I need to look at that and talk to the fire department manager, make sure there's nothing else that we need to address here.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and I changed it slightly. If you look at that section 3B, I said, the fire chief in his discretion may appoint a committee to develop a revised, knowing that he had just done that.
Okay,
And that they had just put out a revised policy, you know. The way the old contract read, it was something they were gonna do. And having just done it, I don't think it's something they would have to do again anytime soon.
so, but the policy can only be changed by mutual agreement of the
Right.
parties, correct? Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, and as far as you know, I don't know of any issues with regard to callbacks.
No, I
The
think
issues
they've been
we've
working.
had, we've worked them out.
We've been able to work them out through, okay.
And then that takes us to 30 we already talked about. 36, preemption.
Oh, yeah,
All I did there was reference the provision of the local government code that authorizes us to deviate from civil service, and then said that we intend this agreement when they differ from that, to the extent of the difference this agreement controls.
okay,
It's very similar to,
that should be okay.
so.
The remaining portions of such provision will continue to govern the parties' actions, okay,
So maybe we can sign those first 10 tomorrow morning, first thing.
okay,
And then we'll look at these 4. I have you a discipline and a grievance, and
Mhm.
you're, indicated several things that you're gonna hopefully give me tomorrow.
yeah, when
And so-
impasse, injury leave, I'm also looking at all the leaves, the different leaves. So
Okay.
we should be able to, and we're, you know, I don't think that there's really much issue on those, the disciplinary proposal, the grievance proposal, and the impasse proposal, we're pretty narrowed down to a particular issue that I know that we can work out.
Yeah, so if we can get
So,
those 3,
yeah, and
and
then
these
the-
other 4 that we just talked about, put to bed tomorrow, and then whatever else we can get on the table, that'll be
Sure,
anything we can agree to.
okay.
start to narrow it
Oh,
down.
and then let me, point you out with our two counter proposals.
Oh. This is what you just.
I just sent it to you, let me. Let's see, on page 15, we're making a counter proposal on promotions. My understanding is that you've taken what was the promotion section, or what you could get from the different sections that were spread all around, but the provisions that related to promotions that you gathered and put all in one, and you didn't intend to change anything with regard to promotions. So we went through and we read it through, and what we did was for each, for instance, on C, eligibility requirements, firefighter 2 driver, and then captain, it had, for each one, it had the life of promotional eligibility list. What we did basically was we deleted that from each category and then kind of did a general global provision on the bottom, page 20, which says all promotional eligibility lists will remain in effect for that 1 year. So the reason that we took out the life of the promotional eligibility list for each promotional rank is not because we wanted to take that away. We just wanted to make it global because they're all valid for a year.
Okay.
So we're just trying to consolidate that.
So that is on page 15.
Right, 15, on page 17 at the bottom. One of the problems we had in your proposal was on the notice of promotional exams and source materials. You had proposed that each January we would post the exam dates for the rest of the year. We told you that there may be a problem with that because we're not required to post them. We have a certain amount of time we have to post them before the pursuant to the Civil Service Act. So what we did was basically we just kept that first part and said each January the Civil Service Director will post the list of sources from which the promotional examination questions will be taken for all promotional exams to be administered during the 1 year period commencing in April of the same year, which mirrors what's being done right now. And then of course the source material shall be made available to candidates at least 30 days prior to the scheduled examination dates. The old contract was silent with regard to how the notices would be the public notices would be posted for the examination dates. We just followed the Civil Service Act, so I just noted that. Notice of promotional exam dates will be posted pursuant to the Civil Service Act. In fact, I think it said, I think it did say on the hiring, the old hiring procedures in the contract, the old contract that, examinations will be posted and given pursuant to the Civil Service Act. I think that's what it said. So that's a change we made there.
Okay. And there's a reopener clause in yours.
Yeah, that's, okay, that section 7 was at life of the promotional eligibility list. It's global for everything. Section 9 is not necessarily an actual reopener clause, but what we wanted to do was we didn't want and it's nobody's ever understood it to do this, but I just wanted it to be clear that the city still retains their right to establish the classifications and numbers pursuant to the ordinance by city council, etc. And we just didn't want this to bind our hands in order to do that if there had to be some sort of, if there was supposed to, they wanted to add a rank or something like that. So if that were to happen, if there was a rank to be added or changed or something, that would of course affect the promotional eligibility, base wages, and the step salaries, etc. So we just wanted it to, if that were to happen, we wanted the ability, as we're required, to be able to negotiate, if there was something that was going to happen, and that's usually done through the budget, when they establish the budget. That we do it with enough time and have the time to negotiate regarding any changes that may happen. Like if we're adding a rank, that we negotiate, okay, well these are going to be the base wages and the steps. This is going to be how the promotional eligibility is going to be affected. We would have to renegotiate all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's, and, you know, what I would say about that is, to the extent that we would agree to the reopener clause, I wouldn't want that to be understood as a position that by eliminating a classification, you could actually cut people's wages. I'm not saying you could or couldn't, I'm just saying I have to get my head around that.
Right, no, I mean, any change would, obviously, we would have to negotiate before the,
Okay.
you know, the changes actually had to take effect.
Okay.
We know that, we know and understand when it affects, wages, salaries, and even, you know, the promotions as a condition of employment, that we can't do anything unilaterally.
Okay.
So, you know, if we're dealing with adding or consolidating a rank or something, we would have to do negotiation with enough time in order to be able to even know if it's something that we could present for the budget. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, it's not saying that it's gonna happen, but if it, you know, we're establishing a new contract, we want it to be clear, and we didn't want this to somehow, be understood as some sort of limitation on, well, the promotion says that these are the only ones you can promote to. We wanted to retain, the rights that we have in order to establish the classifications and all that stuff.
Okay.
So that's just basically what the
Yeah.
intent is there.
Okay.
And then the next
Is
kind
this
of,
new stuff on the deputy and assistant
yeah, and I
chief?
meant that should be blue, just to show that it was a counter proposal.
Okay.
But what we have done is, on the deputy chiefs, we added an S to the title of section 1. And so the deputy chief rank is immediately below the fire chief pursuant to section 143.014B of the Civil Service Act. Each person occupying a deputy chief position shall be appointed by the fire chief. Firefighters eligible to be appointed as deputy chiefs are limited to those in the assistant chief or battalion chief ranks. And I know that you had raised a concern with regard to how that affects the number in the lower rank. So
Mhm.
we'd like to, if you want to put that in your counter proposal, that's something that we're open to discuss.
Well, so your proposal contemplates unlimited deputy chief appointments?
You know, I'm not so sure that that's what we intend.
I'm noticing that
So-
you're limiting assistant chief appointments to 2. But, unlimited deputies, that's,
Well, I think the Civil Service Act, doesn't it, for, the size of our city and our department, I think it allows for up to 2, if I recall correctly. I think I read it in the middle of the night.
yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head where the, you know, some departments get 1, some get 2, some get 3. Depending on the size of the department, I would think, without looking at it, maybe y'all would be entitled to 2, but of course, yeah, cause y'all have more than 300.
Mhm.
So,
I think we're entitled to 2.
you can
And-
have 2, but of course you wouldn't be able to appoint anybody in the next rank down in the civil service. So.
Right, that's under the act. Yeah.
Right.
So, no, the intention is not to have 10 deputy chiefs for 100, that just doesn't make sense, but, you know, I think that the number they were looking at was possibly 2. I'm not the management, so I can, if you want to counter propose on limiting that,
Okay.
then we can talk about that, but it's not intended to be unlimited.
What we've done in some other cities is, you know, where they have appointments in 2 ranks below the fire chief, we've had like a number that, you know, like say it was 3, and let the city decide if they want 2 deputies and an assistant, or 2 assistants and an deputy, or something like that. So maybe we'll come back with something.
Okay.
I don't know, I gotta talk to my guys, but I understand your proposal.
And I think those
So
are
those
all
are the
for the
2?
the 2 counter proposals I was able to finalize. And
Okay.
then, I'll get you some more tonight and tomorrow.
Okay, very good. And so we're gonna sign the 10 tomorrow, hopefully we'll clear up these other 4 that we just discussed and get those going. We'll work on discipline, impasse, and grievance procedure, and you're gonna get me some other counters
Yeah.
tonight, so, okay, very good.
We got our work cut out for us for tomorrow, tonight and tomorrow.
Absolutely.
To get rid of.
Hey, we're gonna actually sign some stuff tomorrow.
That's
good.
right, that's right.
So do we need to bring 2 copies of everything?
Yeah, I'll print them out.
Please.
I'll print them out.
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause, I don't know if you have access to a printer, but I do.
And,
If not, I can bring,
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do it since I'm in.
I'll bring backups.
So are we finished, or we still?
I think we're finished for today unless, I mean, it's 5:15. I mean, you can certainly continue in caucus, but I don't know what we can do together.
We can keep talking to ourselves if we want to. Okay.
I got a lot of work to do, so I'm gonna go.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna be working tonight too on counters to these 2 new initiatives, so. Thank you.